your kid comes home and tells you, Dad, I'm straight.
I'll tell them it's a phase, it will pass. They just need to meet the right guy.
Yeah. You kind of only have like one lifetime to try, learn how to be a good parent. I'd just be there to take photos of you with our little baby and then you in your swim shorts.
With my budgie smugglers.
So what would you do? You get a call from the school that they've been caught smoking. You're smoking, Dad's gonna smoke too. No, son, smoking is not cool anymore. Here, have a vape.
We're already tired and it's only been half an hour of not being a parent.
Hello, welcome back.
Today's topic is
Asian parenting styles.
because we are Asian.
Yes.
So we feel like we're well-versed and experienced in Asian parents, all the way from tiger mums, helicopter parents to...
What's a helicopter parent?
Helicopter parents is when they're always like hovering over you,
Yes.
watching what you do.
And then what's the tiger? What's the difference between a tiger mom?
Tiger mum is like, do your work, study. She's like ferocious,
Tough? Yes.
tough on you. Whereas helicopter
Yes.
mums are like always observing you, making sure you do everything properly. Oh no, like, that's too dangerous, can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are only like two of multiple parenting styles, right?
Yeah, but I think they're the only two that I know for Asian parents. And then the absent dad.
But us growing up in a Western context, I think it means that we have been raised with like Asian parenting styles, but how we raise our kids could be very different. So how we came about this topic was, I think in a few years, maybe like 5, we probably want to have kids. When I started thinking about how we would raise our kids, I realized there's so many individual small little things that parents have to make in terms of decisions every day for their child. Like, I don't know, what you feed them. When do you start making sure they start learning things? Like, do you send them to kindergarten play programs?
How much time do you spend with them during a day?
Exactly. Should I send them to an expert who can better accelerate them in these areas? Or do I try and spend quality time with them so that their relationship with me is maybe stronger, better?
So many decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
And it can affect them so much, especially at a young age.
I think it's the same for everybody, right? Every decision that your parents make for you affects you in some way, right?
Yeah.
So there's just so many little things to discuss. And maybe we can start to figure out and align in this discussion today how we would parent our kid. Hey guys, if you're enjoying our content, the best way you can support us is by subscribing.
This helps us make better videos for all of you.
Before you said how we are raised is a result of how our grandparents have raised our parents, because they take the way that they've been raised and they want to make improvements on it, right? That's usually pretty natural. So my parents didn't have much, actually both my parents grew up very poor. So when they came to Australia and they were raising my brother and I, they really wanted us to have different experiences, have the things that they couldn't have as kids. So for example, like music lessons, sports lessons, we'd get sent to all of these things. But at the same time, because they were raised so poor, they wanted us to do well academically so that we could get stable jobs afterwards and not have to like fight the way they had. So in some ways, we had like a very busy childhood trying to balance both study and extracurricular. I feel like maybe it was a bit too much, but at the same time, I'm grateful at the experience. So that's one perspective. And then the other one is like when I was naughty, what happened? I would get, in Malaysian culture, canes were a thing. So I got caned a bit when I was a kid. I don't think it necessarily made me behave more, maybe a little bit, but my brother and I would think of ways to like minimize the pain from being hit rather than trying to behave instead, right? So we're like, can we find a way to hide the canes? So my parents would put them on top of the fridge because that's where we couldn't reach. And my brother and I soon figured out that that's where they put them. So when they weren't home or they went outside for the gardening or something, we'd climb on stools and then push them behind the fridge. So because they're not going to look there, it's very hard to get. Or we'd like, I don't know, I think we like taped them or something. So there was like plastic, so we would insulate it, things like that. So I don't think it really made us behave more.
How do you think all of these punishments affected you and made you who you are today?
Oh yes. I remember what I was going to say. So yeah, I have ADHD. And as a kid, I broke a lot of stuff. So I remember we went to someone's house and you know armchairs, how you used to have to pull the lever or like you pull a handle?
Yes, those things like they break all the time.
And then it comes out. As a kid, obviously, logically, if the handle goes one way to come out, you push it the other way for it to go back. So I pulled it, obviously, and you're supposed to use your feet to push the springs back in. But as a kid, I pushed it the other way. So I broke the handle off. So I got in trouble for that. So I feel, in a way, I've carried a lot of those stresses into life because I get in trouble a lot. Sometimes I get caned for it. And as a result, now in like adulthood, if I break something, I usually get quite stressed about it as well. I think I've built up the stress, the fear response as a result of how I've been raised when I was younger. Obviously, my parents weren't aware that I had ADHD. They're just like, this is a naughty kid. Does that make sense? So in some ways, I can definitely see how it's affected me. But at the same time, I'm like, what would I do as a parent if that was my child as well? And I'm like, there's so many questions and like, I don't even know how to parent, right? Like you are a reasonable human being and like we date. And even when we have conflict sometimes, I don't know how to behave rationally and respond to you rationally. So I'm like, now I have to deal with a kid who has like probably like way less emotional maturity and somehow I'm supposed to remain rational, reasonable, calm at all times to make sure that I can educate, parent them well. So that seems like a really big challenge to me. What was your experience like growing up?
They were very busy working. They were not able to be stay at home at any point.
Yes.
Parents at any point. Whereas your mum could do for a few years, my parents could not at all. Apart from that, they had no time for us at home. And even when we were still young and, you know, they couldn't leave us alone, they brought us to the bakery and we'll just sit on the table and just occupy ourselves.
How old? Do you remember how old you were?
3, 4. I was at the bakery already. I think the difference with my parents is that they never told me the reason behind anything.
Yeah.
So they would tell me play piano, but I would never know why I had to play piano.
That's the same.
They told me to study, but I didn't know why I had to study. They put me in, you know, like advanced math classes or whatever, but never told me why.
Yeah.
They literally gave me braces, which I'm thankful for now, but they never told me why.
They just try to do stuff for your own good that they perceive to be good without
actually telling me.
Explaining why.
So I never understood why, and I couldn't even appreciate it at the time.
I think that's actually the same with me. Like I learned piano. I learned how to play viola as well for a little bit. And some of those activities, it was like, oh, I want to do them. But there were definitely others where it's just like, okay, you need to go to piano class, keep practicing piano. Like, go sit this piano exam. And it was like painful, but I still had to do it. But actually, a reflection that I have is I think doing well in tests, exams, like, you know, you get your school report at the end of the year, it was always praised upon. And I think for a long time as a kid, I'm like, I need to do well, so I keep getting praise. But I don't know why at the end of the day that I need to do well. Does that make sense? I don't think that's unique, though, to our childhoods and being raised. I think often parents do a lot of things for kids without explaining why. Is there anything in particular you wish your parents would might have done then? Like explain to you, Peter, you need to practice piano because X, Y, Z.
The reasoning because my parents aren't educated.
Yes.
The reasoning they gave for playing piano is that it improves your memory, which in a way, I'm like, when I'm older now, I can understand it because it increases neuroplasticity. And they literally don't understand. Like, I barely understand it now. Yes. There's no way they would have understood it. All they read was in the newspaper. It said it can increase memory.
Yes. Memory skills, yes.
And then they made me play it, even though my memory was learn it, even though my memory was like terrible all the way growing up. I don't know. I'm not really the type to think that my parents should have done X, Y, or Z because I don't think they could have done anything else. They were too busy working that they literally did not have time. And if they spent more time on, you know, skipping work to raise me, I would have been in a worse position overall. And even when they did finish work and come home, they would literally still sit with us and like teach us and tutor us and do homework with us.
I don't think we could have asked our parents to do more because at the end of the day, we know they were doing their very best to like make enough money to support the family and making sure we enjoyed our childhood whilst also prepared for our future, which is not easy. And like, how do you make a decision? Should I let my kid go outside and play for an hour more? Should I make them study for an hour more so that in 20 years, they're more likely to get a slightly higher paid job? It's difficult, right?
Exactly. Because I think both our parents were raised in like the countryside, right?
Yes.
And I am pretty 100% sure that their parents never like taught them or studied with them.
Yes.
because, well, other than the fact that they had, 8 siblings, each of our parents have like 8 siblings.
Yes.
So there's no way your farmer mum or farmer dad can sit down with you, especially when you're a farmer. That's even harder, or as hard as like bakery. It's just early hours, late nights, and that's it. Sleep, and then that's your entire life.
Yeah. By all measures, from our grandparents' generation to where we are now, like we've both got university educations, like our families have done like ridiculously well in like, what's that, 2 generations? We're now college educated, which is insane.
So from all of that experience that we talked about now, how we feel like our parents have done as much as they could, they disciplined because that's what they think worked. That's what they judged was done on them, and that kept them in line, so they did it on us, right?
Yes.
It's not that they're not sadists. They literally, it's the culture of Malaysia where you still whip on the knuckles. It wasn't, I think, in Vietnam when my parents left, but I think it was in Malaysia.
Yeah, definitely. In like the primary school. So I went to school with my cousin for like a month or something, and the teachers will cane the kids. So it's just very, very much it's like a cultural thing.
Yeah, it's only like modern values that have changed. Oh, maybe that's not the best way. There are other better ways to do it.
Yeah. As society as a whole progresses and becomes, I guess, starts to apply more intellectual thought to things, I think we realize that there are different ways to achieve the same results. And like what's considered like acceptable also changes, right? And now that's no longer as acceptable, and you realize, or the research comes out. Actually, I'm not sure if it's like people have just realized, oh, caning a kid, that is bad. But like, what's the reason for that?
I think it's more, instead of just caning them and just that's the be all end all, they're like, is there another way I can approach this?
Yes. Having been through our own adult journey of like learning more about our minds and that we're not necessarily neurotypical has made me realize, okay, there are kids all along the spectrum from like very well behaved to like less well behaved, and like what is the actual root cause. So rather than me now just thinking that is a really naughty kid, I'm like, oh, what could be causing that? Does that make sense? So my curiosity, I think, drives me to be a little bit more empathetic to what could be making that kid naughty. And like that parent could be very, very tired, very burnt out from trying to manage that kid, right? So I'm like, it allows me to have a bit more sympathy for the situation. As much as you can try to do everything possible to make sure you have a well-behaved kid, you don't know if what you're doing is the best thing at any given point. You're just trying to do your best.
Because what is parenting and the best parenting techniques changes every generation.
Yes, exactly. Some people say the second child has it easier because the parents have learned things from the first child, right? But at the same time, your general parenting style, you kind of only have like one lifetime to learn how to be a good parent. But I think everyone's trying to be the best parent that they can be at any given point. Yeah.
How's that affected how you think you'll discipline your child, or how you will? Are you going to read books? Are you going to go to classes? What will you do in preparation for a kid?
I think a lot of this, in my mind, comes back down to life philosophy, as in, it's just a bit deep, but like why we exist. And at the end of the day, you and I conclude that we exist. There's not necessarily a reason that we exist. We just live on this earth, and we just try to live the most fulfilling life that we can, right? And if that's our ultimate reason of why we exist, I think that's going to heavily influence how I raise our child, right? I just want them to live a fulfilling life. So if you take that as my guiding principle in any decisions that we make, like should I read this book with the kid, there will be an element of they should do this because it's good for them. Like, I know you hate maths, but you really need to learn. But at the same time, if they're like really, really hating something and I can see that they're struggling, again, it's judgment's call for me as a parent. I'm like, okay, maybe rather than taking this approach, I'll be like, okay, I know they need to learn this. How can I make this a bit more fun for them? Does that make sense? So that will try and influence my approach to raising them rather than be like, read this book or don't read this book. It's guided by, I want them to live a fulfilling life at the end of the day, which does mean enjoying their childhood. But at the same time, I want to set them up to have good future when I'm not around anymore.
I think it's like how much time you have as well, because our parents didn't have a lot of time to like teach me how to do things, or even if she did, they barely know how to teach because they barely understand it themselves.
Yes.
So I think they didn't have the time to take the alternative approach. Okay, memorizing 2 + 2 isn't working for this kid. We're fortunate to have the time and resources where we can be like, oh, okay,
You're so
Memorizing
true.
2 plus 2 doesn't work.
Yes.
Have you ever went to Kumon? That's just memorization.
Yeah, no, thank you.
If that doesn't work, what else can I do? And there's so many other techniques with the internet right now. I think that's very fortunate that we can do
definitely. We're blessed. I think when we choose to have kids, I feel like we'll definitely have more time than our parents will. And yeah, the ability to take different approaches to make things more enjoyable or more fulfilling for the child is definitely a huge, huge blessing, which our parents didn't have. Yeah.
So I think this is why we're not ungrateful to our parents. We fully understand all the decisions that they made, and we're happy that they made the decisions, even though at the time we didn't enjoy it.
Yes.
But I think overall, we generally love our parents and how they've parented us, even if it wasn't 100% perfect.
So, like, as a parent, you also need to be aware of these things, like teaching style. How are teachers teaching your child? Is your child personally getting enjoyment out of this? If they are getting enjoyment out of this, why are they getting enjoyment out of it? Is it because they're good at it, or is it like they enjoy the logical problem solving, right? There was that reel that I saw the other day. I think I spoke to you about it. They did an experiment with kids, and kids who were praised, let's say they solved this puzzle and they're like, the person supervising them was like, you are really smart. Good job. You're so smart. Versus, good job. You put in so much effort. The kids who were told they were smart were less willing to try harder problems because they were scared that they would not be praised for being smart. It's like all these really, really small things that it's like, how do you be aware of all of this as a parent? Because obviously I want as much information as I can so I can behave in the right way for my child, to be praising them in the right way, to encourage them to grow, explore. But it's like your small everyday patterns, behaviors, things that you say to them, 100% going to influence them. And there's just no way you can be aware of it all. I'm curious to know, like, when we have a kid, what are the kind of things we need to discuss in terms of how we raise them? Like, how much do we try and discuss versus how much of it comes out in natural parenting style? Take that scenario before that you gave, where the kid throws something off the table. How do we respond?
I have no idea. I think it's just see when the time comes.
I think I've learned that yelling at them is probably not the approach that I'm going to take, and probably not the right solution. I think a big part of you has to like take a deep breath and just like keep it calm, and then slowly work through it one step at a time. You're already in that situation, or we're already in that situation. We need to deal with it.
Like, get them to safety, make sure they don't step on anything, make sure they don't create more of a mess. Do you have other kids? Are they going to jump onto it?
Yes.
All of that stuff. And then once you remove the kid is probably when you're like, okay, how can I get them to stop being frustrated?
Yes.
Because if they're still frustrated and you tell them to sit in the corner, they're probably going to break something else.
Yeah.
So you don't, like, the cleaning is not that high priority. You just
it's not
need to get them safe.
Safety,
and then calm.
yes. Safety's like everyone's safety, not just the kids, but also like yours and mine. Like, if you're gonna move the kid, I think we're fortunate that there's two of us to take care of a kid. There are single parents out there. It's so much harder. I can be like, okay, Bubs, can you grab the kid? I will clean this up.
Yeah. I think you'll have to think on your feet a lot.
Yeah.
And just have like general principles that you will try to stick by.
That's actually a really good idea. General basic principles that we agree to try and raise the kid by.
Like, some of the general principles I can think of is probably like, don't shout as your first reaction. Whatever your first reaction is, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's probably going to be shout at the kid, which is never good.
Yes.
It's probably going to be assess their safety. Is everything okay? Is anything going to get worse? Pull the kid aside, make sure they understand what they did is wrong.
Yes.
And one thing I also heard is make sure that they help clean up in some way, shape, or form, so they feel like it's their responsibility.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good one. I wouldn't have thought of that. I would just cleaned up.
Trying to stay calm, I think, is the hardest thing for me.
Yeah. Activities for the kid. What are what would you 100% have to send them to? How do you navigate that space to make sure they're doing activities that they enjoy and developing in a way that is enjoyable to them?
What do you mean by that?
Like, for me, I'm not necessarily sure it's enjoyable for everyone, but I would definitely want my kid to learn to swim.
I would, when they're a toddler, I'll teach them how to bring them to classes. Yes. And I think the key thing is make sure you're there as well. I recently just saw a reel where they put their baby into a swim class and then that baby did not make it out.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know why. For maybe it was an unofficial swim class. I think it was in the US or something. That would never happen in Australia. So I'm like, okay, maybe you probably be there for the first couple lessons. Just make sure everything's doing fine. But yes. Yeah.
You and the baby in the swimming pool. You and your Speedos.
I wouldn't know how to teach them a baby
cute.
how to.
I'd just be there to take photos of you with our little baby and then you in your swim shorts.
With my budgie smugglers.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be the cutest thing in the world. Fairy tales and dreams.
So other things is sport and musical instrument are the two major things.
As in, you would want them to do one of each?
They're the two categories, other categories.
See, for me, sport is physical activity. I would like them to find one that they enjoy, a physical activity.
For me, it's the team-based and extracurricular friends that they can, which is the more important thing over sport. I don't really care about the sport itself, but like say a team sport, like soccer, basketball, where they can make friends, talk to people. That's not just
socialization skills.
Socialization skills, because that's something that I never had growing up.
But it's so complicated. That's like you as a child need to learn how to fit in. And then sometimes it's your desire to fit in with other people that starts to cause behavioral issues.
If you don't know how to fit in, yes.
Yes, correct.
And if you don't know how to interact with people, life is going to be a lot harder with school. High school, you'll get bullied because you're the odd one out. And it's really hard for you to learn those things.
Yeah.
So that's why I emphasize that. I feel like a lot of those skills is what you learn as a kid, just naturally. Because I feel like if you're well socialized, you're going to be more confident about yourself. You'll go for like leadership positions because you can talk to people. And it's also like you build another support group that's not just your parents.
And then musical instruments.
So like I guess music, for me, that's like the creative side. Because I'm like, okay, I would probably want them to do something creative to stimulate their juices. I don't want them to just sit down and do maths engineering all day, right?
Yes.
I want them to express that creativity somehow.
Yeah.
Whether that be music or arts. But would you force it on them or like strongly? Because musical instruments aren't cheap. $3,000 for a violin, viola.
Yeah.
$5,000, $10,000 now for a piano.
I think that's the hard part. I want them to try a breadth of things, and I want them to find something that they enjoy. But how do we balance making sure that they find something that they actually are getting joy out of versus they've tried it once and they found it too challenging or the teacher was bad and they gave up? Does that make sense?
Yes, exactly.
Whereas is it like you need to do 3 lessons minimum and see at the end of it, you can decide whether you like it. But if the teacher is like crap,
you have no idea unless you sit in with them. Which
hard.
Is possible, but you're sitting there for 30, 45 minutes playing on your phone. And
then my one reflection is that as people personally, we grow through challenge, right? So in how we raise the kid, whatever sports, art classes we send them to, there's going to be an element of difficulty and challenge, and almost trying to raise a kid that can get back up. Resilience is probably like one of the strongest characteristics I'll try to teach.
Yeah, exactly.
Life is always going to be tough. So how do you get back up after that and find joy in whatever you're doing?
So coming back to that then, would we heavily enforce or try to make them do like, after everything that we said, like a sport or a musical instrument or something creative? Instead of them, what if they were like, I don't want to do it anymore?
As a parent, I would sit down and understand what's the reason you don't want to do it anymore. If there's like a legitimate reason why they don't want to do it anymore and it's not some arbitrary thing that we could control for, like, oh, you really don't like the teacher, we can try send you to another teacher. Do you like this teacher better? Do you get along with them better? Right? And okay, if I understand the reason and I think it's genuinely fair and they're not just giving up because they want to play video games more.
What if it is they want to just play video games? What will you do?
What do you enjoy about playing video games? Ask them, right? And then try to get them to, I guess, understand you enjoy video games because of these things, but you also need to do other things. So I don't think I'd let my kid just play video games mindlessly and endlessly, because we know they're designed to generate dopamine, right? Like when I start playing games again, I'll play weekly. Then since the last holidays, I've intentionally been like, okay, I want to stop playing because I know if I go back into that rabbit hole, I'll keep playing again and I'm not as productive doing other things. And I know I'm susceptible to that kind of environment. So it's like, how do you teach your kid to at least be aware of that? It's not easy. It's difficult. something that I struggle with. So I don't know how I'm supposed to teach my kid.
I think it is difficult because, for instance, when they're young as well, because games are created to be dopamine addiction or all sources of media, even like Baby Shark videos or what are they people watch these days? Like those cartoons or something.
Yes.
Or brain rot YouTube. They're designed to capture their attention so that the kid is entertained and not yelling and crying and making a fuss so that you can actually have a calm time.
Yes, correct.
Like, what if you're cleaning up dishes after dinner? You don't want the kid to be running around causing more mess. You're like, okay, just sit on your iPad, play it for 30 minutes while I get work, while I clean up everything.
I think my conclusion is it's going to be difficult to be a parent and to make the best decisions that you can. That's what you're always trying to do, right? And we need to acknowledge that as parents are humans. You're going to get tired. We already get tired in our current life, even without a child. So it's only going to be more difficult. I appreciate that we try to have these types of conversations early so we can mentally prepare for it. And I think I would say we're definitely not ready to have a kid yet. It's too early. So what would you do? We have a kid and you get a call from the school that they've been caught smoking.
Well, usually you have to go pick them up. You'd go pick them up. And I think my first response is just like, I'd be like, where the hell did they even get a smoke from? I'm like, it must be that bad kid then. It must be a bad kid in school. But I'll talk to them and be like, why did you do it? They're like, I want to fit in. It's cool. Or like, this guy told me to try it. I'm like, okay, what did you think of it? Did they enjoy it or did they not like it? They will probably say it tastes terrible. And I'm like, yeah, it's bad. Do you know why it's bad?
Yeah.
And do you know why you shouldn't do it? Because it's addicting. There are parts of it that make you want to keep doing it forever. So it's making them understand why it's bad.
Yeah.
That's the key thing.
We're very logic-based, and I hope we have a kid who is logic-based enough that they can understand when we sit down and try to talk to them and break things down. Because that will make our life easier. But at the same time...
I feel like the biggest issue is when they don't want to hear what you're saying. They're like, if I want to do it, I want to do it. That's going to be so frustrating. I don't even know how to get past that. Literally, I have no idea what to do if that happens.
But that attitude has to come from somewhere. Does that make sense? That I don't want to listen to you. So I think it's how you deal with them. The first time that something bad happens, the first few times are probably the most important in how you manage their expectations.
But it's also something that's from the very young age as well. You have to teach them from the youngest age you can. If they did something bad, how is it going to be resolved? That's the hard thing.
Yes, exactly. And you're trying to show them that there are consequences, but I'm not here to be the bad person to you. I'm trying to make sure that you have a fulfilling, happy life.
Okay. But what if they were caught smoking again? What would you do? It's the same thing that you already had a conversation about, and they're still doing it.
Do you then try like a radically different approach, and you have to like start smoking and be like, you're smoking, Dad's gonna smoke too. No, son, smoking is not cool anymore. Here, have a vape. I don't know.
At that time, vapes didn't even exist at that time. We have no idea.
The government just needs to make all of this shit illegal.
Move to a country where cigarettes are illegal.
Yeah. I still don't think going down the angry, I'm going to ground you route. There's something that we don't understand why they're still doing it. Something's driving them, right? And you really need to understand that driver. If it's peer pressure.
What if it's like their friend group?
That's really hard. Then as a parent, it's like...
You don't want to relocate them.
Yeah. Is that the measures that you have to go to? Like the friends that they made at this school are not influencing them in the way that I would like to. Do you try to talk to the other parents? Like, hey, do you know your kids are smoking? Blah, 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 blah. Or
that's
you
true.
Go through drastic measures and you're like, we're moving you school.
I reckon.
Which is like traumatic for the kid because like it takes time to build up friendships. Even if like they're not the friendships that you think are good for your child, they're still friendships that your child values.
Yes, exactly. That's the hard bit. Actually, yeah, you're right. Talk to the parents. If their parents don't care or they're unable to fix it, both are bad. If they're unable to fix it, then I would talk to the kid being like, look, I understand it's peer pressure. Or even if it's not peer pressure, I don't think these kids are good for you. So let's say you don't think the kid's friends are like good and it's influencing your kid.
Yeah.
It might not be peer pressure, it just might be your kid. It's not peer pressure, it's just your kid wants to fit in. There's a difference.
Yeah.
They might not be trying to pressure him, he just wants to do it. Then it's like, okay, I don't think they're good friends. And the result of this is if there's a real likelihood that we might make you change schools.
Yeah, see, I'm so hesitant to raise these types of like a
Ultimatums.
threat or like an ultimatum to the child. It's
Because
complex.
the issue is that you have to tell them there are consequences, right?
Yeah, correct.
And like it's either like tell them there's no way you can be like, don't be friends with them. That's not going to work.
Yeah, trying to sit down and really have a good chat with the kid, understand why they're doing it. Depends how like where on the scale it is, I think really influences the drasticness of the decision that we would take.
Like if it's happened one time, that's fine. 2 times, it's like, okay, something is wrong here, but warn them that a 3rd time and more is not good. 3rd time is like, drastic measures need to be taken.
Yeah.
Because 3rd time's a pattern.
Yeah.
And it's not going to change.
The one thing that I think is really important is that you and I are a united team, because if we're trying to give different advice or like have different approaches to dealing with like a situation that we perceive to be very difficult, that's probably very confusing for the child. So we need to
So would you go down
friends.
that ultimatum route? Or what would you do?
If it was
Like I
bad
said.
enough, like if it's substances starting to get involved.
Or just smoking. Like smoking and it's the 3rd time and you tried the other 2 times talking. Do you think talking a 3rd time in the exact same way would help?
Probably not.
For me, like the 3rd time, I would do an ultimatum.
So yeah, possibly ultimatum, or yeah, this is where being a parent is tough. These decisions are tough. It's like, I'm going to take your iPad away.
True. Before an ultimatum of changing schools, you can start limiting the other stuff. But then that might push them towards doing more of that. Like, oh, I can't do stuff at home anymore, because home is all you can control. Once they leave the house, it's so hard to control them.
How much of this type of scenario actually is about before it ever even gets to this scenario that you've talked to the kid about it? It's like part of it's education, and almost it's like getting buy-in. So these are the things that we don't want you to do for these reasons, because it's really not good for your health. There's lots of research that shows it's bad. If you do this, what's the consequence? Do you think that this thing is fair? Shall we take your iPad away for 6 months? And they're like, no, that's not fair. I'm like, but this thing's really bad. What do you think is fair? Like, I just won't do it. So like, if you're not going to do it, then we won't take your iPad away. So isn't that a great, yeah, okay, that's fair. And then coming up with kind of the checks and balances with them. But I don't know if that's even reasonable, because how many things are there that you don't want your kid to do that you need to talk to them about? It's a bit unrealistic. This is too hard. I'm tired being a parent after thinking
We're
about
already tired, and it's only been half an hour of not being a parent.
I'm so tired.
But yes, this is the biggest example of why we're so far from kids. I reckon we're like 10 years from a kid. We have a lot of things that we want to do before.
Yeah.
5 years is like when you've reached your goal and you're like, okay, I can start planning for a kid. But I don't think we've reached the goal remotely at all. I don't think we're anywhere close.
Okay, so next scenario. Your kid comes home and tells you, Dad, I'm straight. What do you do?
I'll sit them down and tell them it's a
Not
phase.
in my household.
I'll tell them it's a phase. It will pass. They just need to meet the right guy.
Yeah. Or girl.
Yeah.
And then we send them to therapy.
Yeah.
I can't believe. Yeah. How did this happen? How did this happen to us?
Conversion camps all the way. We'll send them to those diversity camps.
Straight to a single gendered
camp.
school.
Boarding school, straight to that all boys boarding school. That's what we'll send them to.
But yeah, it's interesting. We had the discussion about like smoking and like what we perceive to be like good, bad friends for our kids, right? And I can kind of see it from the other side, where pretend you've been raised in a conservative family and you've been raised to assume that being gay is bad, being trans is bad, and your child starts making friends with those types of people. And then suddenly it's like, oh, you're not like, you are almost imposing your value systems on your child, right? You want to raise them to be a good person, but you yourself have so many innate values as to what you consider good and bad. It's not easy. I think I can understand why people have certain beliefs. It's becoming clearer to me as we have these conversations why there are so many different beliefs in the world, and people believe different things to be true, which is almost what leads to conflict. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Different opposing views.
Yes, people think differently.
Very differently,
yes.
Right? And it's all based on each individual's circumstances, how they've been raised, their personal experiences. Yeah, I think that's just my general point. And that parenting and how your parents have parented you is part of what influences that. And to think that you are right is maybe one of the most harmful things that we can do to make society a more peaceful place, because you hold your values so strongly without necessarily being open to others.
So would you rather is as if you were a parent. Would you rather, as a parent, be a tiger mum or be a gentle parent?
I think I would try to be a gentle parent because I had more of a tiger mum. Not a complete tiger mum, but partial.
Would you rather traditional values or more modern?
100% modern.
Would you rather have your kid study piano, violin, or have it do a sport?
Depends. I can't answer that. It depends what the kid enjoys.
Say you don't have time, right, to look after the kid, to raise them. Would you rather move in with in-laws or your parents, or send the kid to a boarding school? You don't have time.
Move in with in-laws.
Our parents would love to take care of our kid, but would they necessarily
raise them in
the way that you would
But
prefer?
is the boarding school going to...
That is true.
No.
You don't know.
Boarding school, the kids, I don't even get to see the kid. At least moving in with in-laws, I would see them.
Would you rather your kid become a YouTuber, influencer, or a professional gamer?
A YouTuber.
Really?
I think there's just more options in what they could do with their life.
Would you rather have them do Saturday Chinese school or math tutoring?
Look, both of those sound like torture, like absolute torture to me. But probably Saturday school. I find that there is value in knowing another
Chinese
language.
School?
Yeah.
That is true. They're both very important, but I do think a language is trumps. A part of me wishes, in hindsight, that I learnt another language as a kid, but I do acknowledge that it's not easy, and most people, it turns them off. I think for most people, it turns them off the language forever.
Correct.
Whereas for me, because I
Yes.
felt like I was lacking a language, I had to self-study Vietnamese.
Yes. Chinese school was torture, absolute torture.
Oh, would you rather your kid have no partner for the rest of their life, or their partner is someone you disapprove of?
As long as they're happy, I'd rather them be with someone I disapprove
You disapprove?
of. Yeah. I don't think I would disapprove of anyone, though. As long as
They're a bad influence.
Oh, they're a bad influence.
Yeah. Oh, suddenly there's someone he disapproves of.
No, it depends. Like, if they're happy with that bad influence, I feel like
It will probably affect them as well. They're happy, but it's like an abusive relationship.
Oh,
bad influence.
If it's like abusive, then no, I'd rather
they don't want to
them
leave.
with me.
They want to stay with that person. I would rather partnerless than someone who I think I disapprove of. That falls under disapprove.
I think there's very few people who would disapprove of. That's the thing. So it has to be really, really bad for us to disapprove.
It'll be like, I don't think you're treating any time it's like, I don't think you're treating my kid right. That's disapproval. Yeah. And I think we'd rather they would be single.
Yes, that's true.
Would you rather force them to finish their food or that they waste food? Let's say they're skinny and because they're young, they have ADHD, they don't want to finish their food and they're skinny. They're being under-nutritionalized or whatever it's called.
Malnourished. That sounds like me.
Would you force them to finish their food?
Yeah, my parents struggled. Yeah, you'd have to, because like you want them to have enough nutrients to develop.
You have to sit there and just be like, look, you have to start bargaining. You have to do stuff because it's affecting literally their health.
Yeah. 1 bite equals 1 hour of game. Okay, maybe not that much.
Would you rather your kid pursue an arts degree or a degree in philosophy?
Philosophy. I like philosophy. I really like the concept of philosophy.
Would you rather a private tutor or group tuition?
Private, if possible.
Because the costs will be slightly more expensive for private.
Yeah, you want them to learn
probably like double.
Yeah,
but it's tailored.
Yeah,
at least.
Exactly.
And hopefully that they can learn better. Or would you start with one and then move to private only if they struggle? Would you rather a boy or a girl?
I think my natural inclination is to say a boy.
I think if it was a girl, I just don't know what to do. Because I don't have a personal experience being a girl or raising a girl. I'll be like, I have no idea what's happening with you.
Yeah. The interesting part is, as open-minded as we try to be, we still have perceptions of what a boy should do and what a girl should do. Even though I'll try to, even the concepts of gender, they're all societal principles and things like that, right? Society's literally come up with these values. So it's very difficult. In some ways, I want to be as open-minded as possible, but we're still influenced by the way in which we've been raised and what's our interaction with society is every day. TLDR, it is damn hard work to be a parent. To all the parents out there, you guys are doing a freaking amazing job.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
You're doing your best, and that's all
they will appreciate it when they get older.
Even if they don't appreciate it, you still did your best.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
You're raising a good human being. All right. Thank you.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for watching until the end of the video. We hope you guys enjoyed it.
If there's anything you guys want us to discuss, please leave it in the comments below. See you next time.